All right, hey there, folks. Welcome to yesterday's news for August 23rd, 2018. And today I'm going to cover two stories, one a little briefly, and the second one I might rant a bit. First story I'm going to cover is that Betsy DeVos, our Secretary of Education, has found a loophole to use federal funds to buy guns for teachers. So I'm on board with that, assuming proper training and whatnot. But that usually is not the thing that people miss. So, yeah, yay for her. And of course, the article I have linked below is the New York Times article on the subject. And of course, they think this is the end of the world. Now, part of the problem, one of the sort of philosophical points that I think is often missed on the left and anti-gun ideas in general is at least the honest ones, is looking at seeing the gun itself like a pathogen, like having the gun around makes you more likely to have a problem with it. And it's, well, okay, yes, you're more likely to be accidentally shot in a world where there's guns than in a world where there's not guns, but that doesn't make you more likely to die in an accident, and so I think that's just sort of an intellectual disconnect that people have, that they seem to think that there's only one thing guns do and that somehow they do it on their own or they influence people to do it. I don't know. The cynical part of me wants to say, no, that's just a sales pitch for people who want to have power and control to try and dupe people into giving away their independence. But, that's the cynical part of me. So I'm going to do my best to ignore him. So the second story, and this is the one I apologize if I rant on, but I don't apologize for ranting on this because it's a big freaking deal. Seems like a minor story. The story was, new unreached tribe found in the Amazon, or footage of unreached tribe in the Amazon. And I read this article and the one example, they're talking about these people like they're a new species of finch, or there's some scientific curiosity. They gave the example of this guy that they know about. They've been tracking him for years with drones. He's the last of his tribe, and he's been living alone in the jungle for 20 years. You know what we do in our great humanitarian brilliance? We take pictures of him with a drone. Nobody's going to help the guy. He thinks he's alone in the world. He's been living alone in the jungle for 20 years. He's a guy in his 50s living alone in the jungle. Nobody's trying to help him. There's these dozens of tribes in the Amazon who are literally living in the Stone Age. These people with life expectancies in the 20s. And all we're doing is taking pictures of them out of curiosity and treating them like freaking zoo exhibits. These are actual people. They're real human beings who have the same rights as everybody else, who have the same potential as everybody else. And we're letting them waste away and starve in the jungle because it's interesting. That's some sick stuff. And that's got to change. You can contact them and offer them access to modern medicine and food and all these things without destroying their culture or their heritage. I don't care that the caves that my ancestors used to, bury their dead in like that's not a thing that we do anymore. You know, I'm curious that, you know, that they did that. And if I ever get to Ireland, I'd love to see some of those places. Very interesting. But I'm not gonna sacrifice the potential of modern life in order to keep that practice alive. I mean, it was a stupid thing to do. They would sit and hang out with their dead in the cave. Like, that was weird and messed up. And it's interesting that they used to do that, but I don't want to, I'm not upset that we didn't preserve that. You know? These people will not be upset that we didn't preserve the things that made them starve in the wilderness when the rest of the world had iPhones. Where is our humanity here? How are we not seeing these as our brothers and sisters in this world who are suffering in absolute poverty and privation, like literally having to run from predators and things like that? Like, how do we justify knowing that they're there and refusing to help them? You know, this isn't Star Trek. We're not the Federation, and the Prime Directive is just a silly thing Gene Roddenberry made up to explain why we haven't been contacted yet. You know, like, that's not an actual moral virtue. It's a science fiction trope. It is not a moral virtue to leave people who are suffering to suffer in their old traditional ways. Alleviate the suffering. Help them. Find a way to preserve their traditions if you can. But that's not worth their lives. These are real people. And it's a travesty that we're just taking pictures of them from drones and instead of going in there and meeting them and helping them and bringing them into the 21st century. So, I don't know. I don't live in Brazil. There aren't any native peoples around here in South Carolina. But if I ever find myself in a position to make a difference there, that's the difference we should be making. We should be trying to reach these people and help them, not take pictures of them and, you know, treat them like a new species that we found. They're our own species. They're us. And they deserve that respect. So, with that, sorry for the rant. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you again tomorrow night.